So today we're going to be talking about bonds. Now, this is going to be an introduction to bonds, so it will not be exhaustive. I can't say everything that there is to say about bonds today. So the first thing is going to be what are bonds? The second thing is going to be who's involved with bonds. And the third thing is going to be the Jackie, what was the third thing again? Sorry, my assistant. Come on, Jackie, I need you to be on the ball with this. Jackie, use your meows. That wasn't you. It seems Jackie has been sleeping on the job. So let's get into it. So what are bonds? Well, I figured a good place to start is to check and see what the internet has to say. A bond is a fixed income instrument that represents a loan made by an investor to a borrower, typically corporate or governmental. Bonds are used by companies, municipalities, states, and sovereign governments to finance projects and operations. Owners of bonds are debt holders or creditors of the issuer. Now, there's so much jargon there, am I right? But luckily, you have me, the financial jargonator man. Yeah. So let's get into that definition quickly. We just want to focus on the fact that a bond is a loan. Congole. That's pretty much it. So I want you to imagine your friend asks you if they could borrow some money from you. They might say to you that they will give you back the money after 2 weeks, maybe. So that's pretty much the exact same concept with a bond. And your friend would have given you a specified term of 2 weeks. So bonds also have a specified term where the borrower has to give back the money. You could have, again, going back to the definition, you could have a corporate bond or you could have a government bond. Which brings me into my next point, which is, who is involved with bonds. Now, with bonds, there is a borrower and there's a lender. In Zambia, we often use the word borrower interchangeably with the word, or rather, we use the word borrow interchangeably with the word lend. So, for example, I might say to my friend, I'm very broke right now, this economy. Can you please borrow me some money? And I'll give it back to you after 2 weeks. Or my friend might come to me, and because my friends all have impeccable grammar, they will ask, Lorato, could you please lend me some money? And I will give it back to you after 1 week. Now, me with my poor grammar, I'll be like, I'm so broke right now. I just borrowed some money to that chap the other day. Now, again, I can't borrow money to someone else. I can only lend money to someone because in that case, I am the lender. I almost sound like Simon Lane here, but it's important to make this distinction. Now, who is the borrower, you might ask? Well, again, typically, like our definition said, it's corporate or governmental, which means it would be a company or it would be a government. If it's a company, then it's a corporate bond. If it's a government, then it's a government bond. Now, who's the lender? Well, again, this depends on the type of bond, but it could be just the general public. Because remember, our definition said that a bond represents a loan that is an investment by the lender. So, if the general public is the lender, then that means you and I could invest into bonds. And in that case, if it's a government bond, we would be lending money to the government. So usually if my friend asks if they could borrow money from me, I won't charge them any interest because, well, I'm a nice guy. But if it's the government that I'm lending money to, I'm nice, but not that nice. I am patriotic though. But this brings me to my third point, which is risk and returns. Now, there's always a relationship between risk and returns. So typically, if something is low risk, you'll get possibly lower returns. If something is high risk, you'll get possibly higher returns. So if someone comes to you with an investment opportunity that they claim has little or no risk and extremely high returns, then you should be very skeptical about that. Okay, so that's risk. Going back to our example, so your friend asks if they can borrow money from you. Now, I'm sure you have, that one friend or maybe more, and you are very skeptical about lending them money because you don't know if they're going to give it back to you on time or at all. And you might have a friend who's the opposite, or friends who are the opposite, like me, who are very reliable and will give you back the money when they say they will, maybe even before. Now, bonds as an asset class compared to equity, for example, which is stocks, are lower risk, considered lower risk. Because again, if it's a government bond, I'm lending money to the government, and I would expect the government is going to pay me back. So this is how it's going to work. Let's take an example of a 20-year government bond. And let's assume I invest 100,000 kwacha. So I lend 100,000 kwacha to the government. And let's assume that there is an annual interest of 20%. Now, in the time before the end of the term, so before the bond matures, I will receive interest. So we say it, for example, there is an annual interest of 20%. Now, this will be paid to me in regular intervals. Depending on what bond it is, it could be paid quarterly, which is every 3 months, which means I'll receive 5% every 3 months. So I invested 100,000 kwacha and I receive 5,000 kwacha every 3 months. It could be biannual, which means I'll receive 10,000 kwacha every 6 months. Or it could just be annual and I will receive 20,000 kwacha every 12 months. This payment to me is what is usually referred to as a coupon payment. So it's regular income that I receive before I get back my principal. You can think of this a little bit like a property investment. So you buy a property with your principal amount and you rent it out to a tenant, and every 3 months they pay you rental income. So it's a very similar concept. So that's bonds in a nutshell. Like I said before, this was simply an introduction to bonds. We will go a little bit deeper into it in another video. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, any questions, any corrections, please let me know in the comment section. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe. Even if you didn't enjoy the video, please like and subscribe so you can not enjoy the next video that comes along. Okay, bye.